Hi there, this is Patricia from patriciafenty.com, and today I have a tutorial on how to crochet this really cute little fall hat. And this is a super simple and easy pattern, but it looks so nice. And so it's totally suited for beginners, and I did make this to go along with my fall scarf tutorial. I'll put a link to that below. And so yeah, super easy to make, easy to adjust to any size. And you could also make it a little bit longer to make it more of a slouchy hat. The brim folds over nicely, so then it's more of a beanie. So super versatile and very easy. So let's talk supplies. The supplies you will need for this project, of course, is some yarn, and I'm using a number 4 medium weight yarn. It's an acrylic yarn. This is the yarn that I used for this scarf tutorial. And again, I will put a link to this tutorial below. So I started off with this Red Heart Comfort yarn, and it was a big ball. It was 649 yards, and I've measured this roughly, and I have about 250 yards left. So I used about 400 yards for this, so there's lots left for the hat. So you can use any number 4 medium weight yarn that you like, and you will need a crochet hook. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, but use the hook that corresponds with your yarn, what the yarn recommends, and then you'll need some scissors and a darning needle. So let's get started. All right, so we'll start with a slip knot, and if you're new to crochet, I do have a beginner crochet series. I'll put a link to that below. So start with a slip knot and put that on your hook. Whoops, I've got this backwards. I like to keep my tail to the right. So you'll start with a chain 5. So yarn over, pull through your loop, yarn over, pull through your loop. That's 2 chains, 3, 4, and 5. So that's 4 chains for the brim and 1 turning chain. So now you work your way back along that chain by putting your hook in through that top loop of that first chain from your hook, and you'll do a single crochet in there. So grab yarn from behind, bring it through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then go into the top loop of the next chain, bring your yarn through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. And so you'll work 4 single crochets back along your chain, just picking up that top loop only. There you go. Then chain 1 and turn your work. Now you work back again, and you'll see here you've got the V's at the top of your stitch, and you're always going to be working into this top loop of the V. And you'll do this all the way along for the whole brim, working into that top loop, and do your single crochet into that loop, and then going into the top loop of the next stitch. And the loops kind of tip to the back of the stitch, so that's the one that you want to pick up. And so then you'll have 4 single crochets. You'll always have 4 single crochets working along the brim, so it's easy to keep count. So chain 1 and turn your work, and then you're going to crochet back again, back into that back loop, and single crochet into that 1 loop only. And so you're just going to work that same pattern back and forth until you have a brim that fits comfortably around your head. So there's no rules here, there's no size guide, you just make it to fit. So once you get to the end of that row, chain 1 and turn your work, and continue to work your way back, working into that back loop. And the only thing that might be a little bit tricky is this last stitch at the end of the row. It might be a little hard to find, but you're always looking for 4 single crochets, so You can find that. So go ahead and do that until the brim is long as it needs to be to comfortably fit around your head. So you don't want it to be too tight, and you don't want it to be too loose either, because it is quite a flexible brim. Welcome back. So I've just completed row number 53, and that has given me a brim that is 18.5 inches in length, and that fits around my head very comfortably. So whatever size is best for you. And the way you can count these rows is you have your beginning chain, you don't count that, and then you have your first row, and then this is your second row, and the bump is up, and that's row 2. So you can just count by going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc. So I ended up with 52 here, and then one more row made it 53 rows. So again, you want it to fit not too loose, but not too tight. The fabric does stretch a lot, and that gives you a really nice comfortable fit, but the fabric will relax too. So if you're going to be on one side or the other, you want to be on the snug side. So now we're going to join this together, and we'll just slip stitch the seam together. So bring the two short ends together and just flip your work around so your loop is at the back and your crochet hook is at the back, and bring your two sides together so your beginning tail is here, and we're just going to come in from the back just for this first stitch. So bring your hook in from the back of that first stitch, pick up your yarn and pull your yarn through both those loops. And that's just to begin. Now you're going to work in from the front, and you'll just pick up the top loop here and a top loop here and do a slip stitch. And this is all going to be on the inside, so you won't see it. So you pick up that top loop there, and then the loop that's closest to you, and do a slip stitch. And then we have one more here, and do a slip stitch there. So that's 4 slip stitches, but there is this this top bump here and this one here that you want to slip stitch into as well. So you have a really nice even join at the seam at the top, and you don't have that opening. So this is sort of I guess the base of probably the chain one turning loop. So do that one as well. So that gives you a really nice join for your brim. So this is the inside of your hat. So you'll turn your brim right side out, and you'll be working into the front side. And now we're going to work into the top of the rim, and this will be a little bit tricky, but you'll get the hang of it once you get going. My yarn is pulling off the table here. So start with a chain 1, and then you're going to work a single crochet into the top of each end row. And this will be a little bit tricky to find because essentially you're working into the end of the row. So your first row here will be the bump up row. And you just want to find 2 stitches in there. They're not like regular single crochet stitches because you're working into the end of the row. So just look for 2 loops that you can work into and do a single crochet. And then you'll work into the lower row, the row that goes down, and those are a little easier, and you can pick up 2 stitches there. Now you're back with the row that faces up, and these are always a little bit tricky to find, but I'm under 2 stitches there and do a single crochet. And then going into the lower row, again, these are easier to find, and you want to pick up 2 stitches. This is kind of wanting me to go under 3, but I'm just going under 2 and do a single crochet. So you're going to single crochet all the way around, doing 1 into the end of each row. So go ahead and do that, and I will see you on the other side. All right, welcome back. So you can see how that creates a really nice even finish along the brim, that row of single crochet. And so depending on the size of your brim, you should get to your seam here and have your 53 stitches, and that's what I have. Now I am going to do one more stitch into the joining seam. This isn't really a row, but I am going to do this single crochet into the joining seam, and that will give me now 54 stitches. And then slip stitch into that beginning chain one, and it might be a kind of a flat stitch. It might not be too obvious, but you'll see here, here's your first single crochet, so there's your chain one just before that. So you're going to do a slip stitch into that beginning chain one, and that joins your first round. And congratulations, because you're now through the most difficult part of the hat. From now on, it's super, super easy. So to begin row 2, chain 2, and then you'll do a half double crochet into the back loop only of all the stitches all the way around. So yarn over and go into that back loop only, bring your yarn through your loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So again, yarn over, going into this top loop only, bring your yarn through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and through all 3 loops. And again, yarn over into that top loop, bring your yarn through, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. So you're just going to work a half double crochet all the way around, and we'll see you at the other side. All right, so coming to the end of this row, I have one more stitch to work into with my half double crochet. And so you should have 54 half double crochets, including the beginning chain 2. And then you're going to slip stitch into that beginning chain 2 and going into 2 stitches of that chain and do a slip stitch. And that completes row 2. So now chain 3. And for row 3, we're going to do a row of double crochet into the back loop of each stitch, or that top loop. So yarn over, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that's your double crochet. So again, yarn over, going into that top loop only, bring your yarn through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around, working a double crochet into the top loop of each stitch. Great, so I have 54 stitches, and I'm going to join this row by doing a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3 and picking up 2 stitches of that chain. And that completes row 3, and that actually completes the pattern repeat. So all you're going to do now is chain 1, and you'll do a row of single crochet into the top loop of each stitch all the way around, and doing just a row of single crochet. And so it's a super, super easy pattern. So you just repeat this all the way around. And this is the pattern repeat. I'll just crochet a little bit more here so you can see how this pattern is working up. But it's just so super simple, but it creates a really nice texture, So you can see here how this looks. So you'll repeat row 1 with a row of single crochet, and then row 2 with a half double crochet, and repeat row 3 with a double crochet, always working into the top loop. And you'll do that until you get to row 12. All right, so here we are at row 12. So that's the 4th repeat of the 3 pattern repeat, or the 3 row repeat. And I have a total length of 8 inches, or what is that, 21.5 centimeters. So at this point, I'm going to start closing the crown. And if your crochet tension is different and you're not at 8 inches, you may want to do an extra row of single crochet repeat before you start closing the crown. If you're more than 8 inches, that's okay. It'll just make the top of the hat a little bit more fluffy. So I finished the row and I had joined with a slip stitch and a chain 1. So now what we're going to do is a single crochet together, 2 together. So you go in through the top loop as if you're going to do a single crochet, but don't finish that. You're going to go into the next stitch and bring the yarn through so you have 3 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So go into the next stitch, bring your loop through, don't complete the single crochet, pick up the next stitch. So you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So you're going to do that all the way around, picking up 2 stitches in a row and then completing that single crochet. So here I am coming around to the end, and I happen to have even stitches, so this will finish off nicely. If you have odd stitches, then just skip that last stitch and you'll join your round into that beginning chain 1 with a slip stitch and picking up 2 loops, and just join with a slip stitch. And so you can see here what that's doing. It's starting to bring the crown in. So we're just going to repeat this again, doing another row of single crochet. So chain 1, so pick up that one and the next stitch and do a single crochet. And pick up this stitch and then the next stitch and do your single crochet. So you're just going to work that all the way around doing this same stitch. So here I am coming to the end of this row. It's a little bit tricky to see now, but I do have the 1 stitch left before the beginning of the next row. So I'm just going to skip that stitch and join this round by doing, so this is my last stitch of the previous row and that's my chain 1. So I'm going to go into that and I'm picking up 2 stitches. I'm actually picking up the top loop and the back loop. That might be kind of hard to see. So now we're going to do 1 more row to bring this crown together. So you can see here how that's just pulling it in very nicely. And we'll do 1 more row. Well, we're actually going to do like a continuous row from here. So chain 1, and sorry, I'm nearly off the screen here. It's getting really tight. I'm pulling the work close to me. But you're going to just repeat that same stitch, picking up the single crochet 2 together, and do that all the way around. So just repeating that same stitch, going all the way around. Again, sorry, I'm off the camera here a bit. Here we go. So carry on until it's almost closed. And so here we go. And that's the last one. So there's just a little bit of a loop left. So just cut your yarn and pull that through and pull your tail through. And then what we're going to do is just going to stitch this closed. So I've just zoomed out a little bit so you can actually see better. So you can see here how that just pulled that crown in so nicely. So now what we'll do is we'll just stitch up the crown. So just put your needle onto the yarn or thread your needle there. And I cut this tail a little bit long. You don't have to cut it this long. So you can see where you've fastened off and you want to go in that same direction. And you're going to kind of just baste into the top of your stitches here. And I'm picking up 2 stitches and go over to this stitch here and just kind of snug that up a bit. And then baste into the next stitch and under there. This doesn't have to be perfect because you're just going to snug it up. And then I'll go maybe under this stitch here and just baste around. And then all you do is just snug it up, just pull the yarn. And there you go, it just closes that right up tight. And then you can just put your needle down into the center of your hat and turn your hat right side out. And then you can just tie a knot here for this. And I'm just going to do like a double knot. And I'll just speed this up here a little bit because this was a bit awkward as I was doing it. But just, so I'm doing 2 double knots. And then you can use this tail to tie on a pom-pom, or you can just tie the pom-pom on directly if you want to add one of pom-pom. So of course you want to darn in your tail end here. And so I've done that. And so here's the back of the hat. You can't even really see where that seam is. And there is the front of the hat. And that is all done. And so yeah, you could add a pom-pom if you like. I think it looks cute just the way it is. And then of course, if you want to, you could make this more of a slouchy hat. You could add another row repeat of rows 1 to 3 and make this a little bit longer and a bit more slouchy. As this is, it's just a little poofy on the head, and there's room to roll the brim over and make it more of a beanie. So this is super easy to make, and there you go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more creative and inspiring videos. Thank you for joining me.